In my last video, I talked about how we can shift from a state such as longing or wanting and move into having, and also really deciphering what is the energetic difference between the two. And the one thing that I referred to was the density that usually heavier emotions have, right? Longing can feel like a tug, right? Where we want to pull something towards us. Wanting something, like it creates a sense of separation. I'm here, that thing or the person or the place is over there. And so it creates this density, a certain heaviness. Whereas when we have things, we just do. It just is. It's like the sky is blue kind of feeling. It just is, right? I have, a home, I have a car, I have work, I have relationships. I just have them and I don't sit around longing for them, right? I may long for them to change sometimes into shift in something else, but then I moved into the state of longing and I've created a new experience versus just having. And so there is that density difference from heavier density to lightness. And that's a pretty easy way to begin learning how to shift is which one are you in? But there's also something, I'll call it a little more practical, that you can do to have what it is you want. And that is making the decision to have it. And it sounds so easy. And, coaches say this all the time, make the decision. Make the decision that you are going to get what it is that you say you want. And yet, there again is a lot of subtlety to that because what I've experienced myself and I watched others do as well is when we hear that, we can shift into this thinking, okay, mentally, I'm going to decide this. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to tell the world about it, perhaps. I'm going to write it in my journal. I'm going to decide that I'm having what it is that I say I want. And yet, nothing changes, nothing happens because often we are staying in the mental realm instead of actually embodying the experience of having, right? When we make the decision to have something, we actually suddenly like open the doors to taking actions or thinking a new way or and feeling a new way. There's more a sense of patience. Not patience like, oh, I have to wait, but because believe me, I get very irritated easily when if somebody tells me that you just got to be patient. And yet, in truth, patience can be incredibly beautiful when we know what it is meaning, what it is allowing for, that it is simply a space between where we are now and where we will be. And that patience is easier and it's actually incredibly natural when we have moved into the state of having, and through that shift into having, decisions have been made. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, and this, is a positive, happy example, and yet, like, it still kind of held the energy of sometimes of more serious things can have, right? And so for me, I don't know, was it a week ago or a week and a half ago that I suddenly, like, I had all of this sense of pressure. Like, suddenly, everything I wanted it now or yesterday, right? Like, there was this feeling of frustration, of not having. And sometimes we have to allow ourselves to feel that before we can actually allow a shift to happen. Because believe me, I was making initial attempts to change my state and they weren't working. It was almost like this tape loop in my head that was replaying. And so I had to become, I chose to be at peace with that, just like it is, just go through it. And then when I was ready to actually start letting it go, and I say that with a smile because it was me who was like attached to it, like it was glued to me, like I couldn't let it go. And then suddenly by feeling it, and allowing it, and then time passing, it just began to dissipate to some extent on its own. But I also woke up to the realization that I could have many of these things. And some of these things that I was wanting, I could have now. It was simply that I hadn't made the decision to have them. Okay. So, one example, one part of that was the my interior decor, my how I decorate my place, the design of it, and I've loved it, and I enjoy it, and I've enjoyed it for a long time. And I'm one of those people who will move pieces around, like just, and energetically, it'll just be time to move things around. And whether it's decluttering something or just placing it somewhere, it has an energy to it. And suddenly, if I place something in another position, maybe I can see it more often, and then it brings me new energy. So I like to play with that. And this time, what I was feeling was like, that is not enough. The energy, it felt like the energy of the things I had were too reflective of the past and not reflective of where I'm going, where my attention is, where my joy is, where I see my future actually flourishing and growing. And so suddenly I wanted things in my environment that would reflect how I actually am feeling and thinking these days, and the things that I've been working on and creating. And so some of these things could mean much like a bolder look in my place. The colors, richer colors, certain kinds of art, perhaps a new piece of furniture, even painting the walls. All of these ideas were coming, and it was suddenly this feeling of it's not enough to just put, add one thing. I wish I could redo the whole thing in one weekend and just live in this new space, in this new energy and environment. Okay. So, by longing for it, by wanting it, I was creating a sense of I can't have, and I have to wait. So, that negative energy of patience, I have to wait for things to happen so I can do it. And what was I waiting for? I had thought there was so many other things that are actually more important that I have to do. Obviously, my work and my business, those are priorities. I was thinking money, like I don't have the money sitting in my account to do this. I was making all of these thoughts real when in fact they weren't as real as I was stating them to be, right? So, for example, financially, it's not that I can't do these things. I was choosing, I wanted to do other things with that money, right? Or at least I thought I did. And so I began to examine some of the assumptions that I had been making, right? And I couldn't have done that while I was still in that heavier density of longing and wanting things. I had to leave that. There had to be some lightness in my space so that I could actually, imagine more clearly without any sense of have to do this, like I have to make this happen, any forcing. Instead, once I moved into I can have that. I can make a decision to have these things. And right now, I'm making assumptions based on how I think they should come to me, how I think they should happen, right? And it's very easy to get caught in this long list of reasons we can't have things, right? So, money is often part of it. For me, it was also time. I don't have the time. That's what I was thinking. I don't have the time. And then I was like, I don't have the energy to do this. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to go shopping for this, and it's just going to take so much energy. And so I was just like adding layer after layer of reasons to stay in the wanting state instead of move into having. And when I moved into having, it was literally like, it was like the air felt still again, like quiet. And I looked around and I felt peaceful again. It was like, I don't have to move a thing right now. I don't have to do anything externally. I don't have to take any action. I don't have to make any plan. I can just be with the state of I get to have this. If this is truly important and if it actually feels like the next step, then let it be the next step, right? Who says that business or other tasks and activities have to be before it? Because let's just say, and there's definitely truth to this, that suddenly I was able to do that all in a weekend. And I was sitting in that new environment, and I was so lit up because I got to have what I was desiring, that suddenly my energy, my focus, my attention could go straight to my business, but now in pleasure and joy and feeling the sense of I've completely nourished myself in the way that I need to, so that I can overflow into my business, to whether it's promotion, whether it's creating things, whether it's research, whether it's working with clients. I can do that because I'm already in an overflow. So we can put up barriers, and we can have these like old ideas about what has to happen first, how it has to happen, like, oh, I have to now go out and shop for all these things. It can, like, all of these assumptions that may or may not be the case. So when I allowed more lightness and the density began to dissolve, and I moved into a state of having, and then I sensed that how the air felt quiet and still and peaceful, and I just allowed myself to feel that I get to have this. Now, little thoughts started coming, right? It was like, okay, what are some of the pieces that this would include? And so now I could write them down. Again, I didn't have to take any action on them, but knowing what I love and writing it down in that moment was also helping me amplify the state of having, right? So I have in mind a certain mirror, or a certain size of mirror and look of a mirror that I would just love. And honestly, I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I wouldn't allow myself to buy it for some reason. It's not like I haven't spent money on other things, but that piece I just kept putting down lower and lower on the list. And yes, I have, a couple of other mirrors that are doing a great job, but this, the one I have in my mind right now, is it, is much closer to it than anything I have. And so you can see I'm already like excited just telling you about it. And I don't even have it, so I'm already shifting my state. And then there were a few other pieces, right? And then I was like, again, like, why don't I just do it? So what if I thought this money was going towards X and Y? I just got some more, by the way. Why don't I put it towards this? Why don't I put it towards the decor that has my heart sing? That would just like be super, super delicious for me. And so the state of having, I was feeling it, I'm experiencing. Now my thoughts are moving in that direction. Now I'm seeing that it is not as difficult as I was making it out to be, and that it could be a choice. It could be a priority because I am now available to have it. When I wasn't available to have it, when I wanted and longed for it, then I'm not available. I'm not being available. I'm being in separation. But when I moved into the state of having internally, so this is simply within me, I haven't talked to anybody, I haven't done anything, I've just said, yeah, you know what, I am allowed to have that, and I am willing to receive it. I'm willing to give that to myself. And I'm willing to find out however it's going to happen. Then the ideas started coming, the choices started changing, the decisions started being made. like, yes, now I can do it. Another example I'll give you, the first was also, the shopping. Oh, it's going to take me weeks and weeks to find because, I know exactly what I want. And even, I'm not talking about exact as in it has to be exactly this shade of blue or something. But more like this idea. And I'm very clear on that. But is it going to be in the shops? I don't know because, the fashions are always changing. And sometimes what I want isn't the thing that's most popular. And so then I thought, well, I could look online. And then I remembered I don't like shopping like that anyway. That's terribly stressful. And then if I end up buying things when I'm in that state, they're usually not it. They don't make me happy. So again, I was noticing the difference in state. And so every time I would start leaning back into this tension and the density and like things being stuck, and I would catch myself, I could then like lighten that up and go, is that actually true? Is what I'm saying true? And then I was remembering things about myself, which are far more accurate and far more supportive. And one of those things is because I know my taste and it's quite clear. So when I go shopping, if something is in the store and it is an it for me, like it'll resonate in my whole self. It'll be like yes, right? There's no maybe if later when, it's just a yes, I know it. And that's the way I love to shop, spontaneous, right? I'll just go out sometimes and I'll consider it a fun thing, fun event, a fun outing. And then if I see something and it completely resonates with me, then I get it. And those items, by the way, tend to stay with me much longer because there is resonance with them. It's not like, sometimes when you have an event to go to and suddenly it's like, oh, now I have to buy an outfit or I have to buy the shoes for this event. And now you're like scrambling to find it and everything in the shop either isn't it or you end up compromising because you gotta have something. Those are like yucky to me. I really aim not to be in that position as often as I can, and I do that by this more spontaneous way of going about it. So within the last week, I have spent actually a couple of hours going online to a couple of stores that have the styles I like, and I'm not making any decisions like this is it unless again it resonates really strongly, but I'm allowing myself to see and to look and to enjoy and to imagine. And there's so many lovely things, right? And so now it's like I'm in that play. It's like, being in a candy store. I'm enjoying that experience. So as I'm talking, you might be seeing, like, notice how I go and I shift states depending on where my mind goes. And every time I pull it back from going into a forcing and I relax and then I go, wait a second, there could be a different way. I get an answer or I get some information. And so I've started taking some action, and that has been the research piece. I also noted down in the coming week, I'm going to a particular part of town, and maybe after that appointment I have in that part of town, I may go check out the furniture stores there. I don't have to. I'm really leaving it up to energy right now, energy and resonance. If it calls to me, if I'm like, yeah, today. But if it's like I have to, oh, I'm in that part of town, let's just do it because it's efficient, that's a no. This is a very different way of living than the average person lives. If that way is working for you, making the list, being efficient in those ways, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to share with you what has made a dramatic difference in me having what I love instead of getting things that are compromises and leaving me in that state of wanting and longing. I'll share with you that I've met and know many people in my world who have lots of things they have a wonderful family, they have the house, they have the cars, they got the jobs, you know. So from a distance, we can say, yeah, they've got a great life. And I've had such people see something that I have. Maybe it's an outfit I'm wearing one day. Maybe, you know, if it's somebody who's come over to my place and sees a certain piece of furniture that I chose, or a trip that I decided on. And I've watched people get really tense, and there's a sense of jealousy. And I often am really puzzled, like, why would you feel like that when in my eyes you have so much? And I don't know what's going on in their lives, right? We never know what's going on behind the scenes. But the one thing that I have realized is that not everything they have, of course, is perfect. But often people are choosing from compromise. People are not in resonance. They're not choosing from resonance. So when they see something of mine that is filled with resonance, it's not that the object itself is, you know, $10 million worth of value or something. It's that resonance is felt. It can be felt across a room. People see it, they feel it. And when they're in a positive state, it uplifts them. And it reminds them that they can have resonance too. When they're in a lower negative state, that's when they may shift into jealousy, envy, anger, tension, frustration, and other energies. Okay, so that's a little side tangent piece of information. But it's showing you the power of resonance. So when I said I'm going to approach this desire of mine with energy and resonance versus what's most efficient, when I can do it, and just like making it happen, because I could, right? Like I could find a way to just say either I'm going to hire somebody or I'm just going to go to the stores and whatever I find this coming week, I'm going to make a decision on, and that's going to be it. Like I could do it that way, but that would not be joyous at all for me, and that would keep me in a state of being separate from instead of being in a state of having. The other thing that I'm noticing as I'm in the state of having now with the decor is that like it's almost like there's almost like this is going to sound weird, but it's like there's a layer of new energy already in my place, being ready for these new pieces. It's not like I'm seeing it through my, you know, physical eyes, but it's almost like I've overlaid my current space with this possibility. And so it's already starting to shift. And that allows me to be naturally patient, not the negative kind where I feel like I'm forced to wait, but the natural patience of, oh, like it's already done, right? Isn't that what they say in all, you know, manifestation books? Moving into the state of it's already done. That's the state of having. And so I've just settled. Where I'm talking really, really subtle here. I can just feel it already done. It's not quite it yet. Like it's not me fully embodied, but I've begun to embody it more, right? Compared to where I would have been 2 weeks ago, when it would have been like, oh yeah, like one day when I've, you know, done A, B, and C, and D, and E, and F on my list, then okay, maybe I'll allow myself to actually have what I want. Now it's actually, no, I'm having what I want already. I know it because the decision has been made. So that's the piece. One of the pieces in this video is a decision to allow myself to have it. And then, you know, things started shifting. Suddenly there was peace. I relaxed. I don't have to fight for anything anymore. I've already allowed it to myself. I've allowed it to myself. And now the universe can also support me in this, right? I may spontaneously be in a shop and go, oh my God, that piece is absolutely the energy that I am imagining and feeling all this time. And I will then make that decision to have that thing. So, heaviness to lightness, forcing to having, to allowing, to knowing, to being. And suddenly, what you do is completely different. The way you approach it is different. Your whole energy can totally shift, right? We emit a field. We emit a field. And right now, the field I'm emitting is of this new decor in my place. And it'll come as it comes. And in my case, I'd like to come it all to be really fun and joyous. And so I am opening the field for it to be of such energies, which is very different from I'm going to make it happen this weekend. Now, if making it happen this weekend was much more joyous to me, it was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be so cool if I just spent 3 full days full on and shopped and chose and just, by Monday it was all here. Like I could have been in joy from that. And if that was the case, then that would have been the path I followed. But it didn't feel like it because I am somewhat particular and I want things a certain way. And so I'm willing now to take the time for that to unfold. So take this example and you can put it on anything, right? What it is that you want. Is it that business growth? Is it that relationship? Is it a certain lifestyle? Move into the state of having. Glide into it, flow into it, let the other stuff dissolve into it. And remind yourself how quickly things can happen. Not that they have to happen, but how quickly they can. And suddenly you'll be much more allowing of having, and you'll also get to see what's in the way or what you've kept in the way previously of having. Right? So I had a list of things. It was like, oh, these are the reasons I can't have yet. But those are my reasons. Somebody else might not have those reasons. So why not become the person who doesn't have those reasons anymore if I actually want to have now, right? So take something in your life that you're ready to allow yourself to have and play with it. You might want to listen to the video again, kind of the different ways I was going back and forth, allowing myself to keep shifting, allowing myself to feel the lightness, to find where the joy was, find where the resonance was, instead of forcing anything, and see what comes up. And you may be quite surprised at what is actually available for you, because now you're letting yourself say fully yes. Yes, and you're ready to make the full, complete, easy, non-negotiable decision of yes. Of course, I'm having it.